Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and we have a puzzle called Spellbinding Square today by Shady Moon with a rule set that I thought was impossible, but given the limitations, well, given the fact the puzzle exists, it must be possible, but it must be due to the limitations of this fascinating large cage. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm really intrigued to find out, so I'm looking forward to having a go at that. Now, loads of goodies on the channel, and on Sunday, of course, we showed the Matt Parker collaboration on Maze of Lies, a really interesting puzzle whose genesis was in the MIT Mystery Hunt. Matt deduced that it was a Sudoku and brought it to us, basically. Not at the time of solving, he found another way through, but he wanted to see how we did it. So that's really interesting. If you want to see how you can solve the solutions to if you can solve the puzzles in last month's patron reward, those videos are up. You have to be a $3 a month patron. It's not much to ask. That's an extra 10 videos there. Anyway, that's on Patreon, where we will be bringing you very soon Oil and Water by Blobs, a new Sudoku hunt for the month of May. That'll come out on the 1st, and also on Patreon loads of other stuff, the American Crossword Puzzle Tournament final puzzle, my monthly difficult cryptic solve, there's another crossword puzzle this month. I mean, all sorts going on. And the winner of the previous month's Patreon competition filmed another collaboration video with Simon. Dominic Stoleman. Don't want to say he stole the show. That wouldn't be fair. But he was very good, and you can check out that video on our channel as well. We continue to publish our regular 2 a day. I was going to say 2 Sudokus a day, but a couple of the puzzles in the last few days haven't been Sudoku entirely. And of course, if you like more Sudoku, there's all of our apps, which feature quite a lot of them, and they're available on the links under the video. So is SVEN'S Sudoku Pad. You can pay, I think it's $2.99 to help Sven with that. And of course, there's all of our merchandise, including the 2025 t-shirt by Amber Pitcher. You can check that all out on the links under the video, but the first link is where you can play this puzzle. It's called Spellbinding Square by Shady Moon. I'm going to read the rules now, which have surprised me. Normal Sudoku rules apply. 1 to 9 will go in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box, as fairly normal. The central 3x3 box is a magic square. Every row, column, and 3-cell diagonal in that box sums to the same number. And the person who commented the last time I had a magic square puzzle that please could setters make the magic squares a different colour gets their wish. Digits on the thermometer increase from the bulb end. Cells connected by a purple line sum to 10. And in the cage, look at this big old cage. Digits that are a chess king's move apart from other caged digits must not repeat and must not sum to 5, 10, or 15. Now, my guess would have been that you couldn't even put a 3x3 box together fulfilling that rule, let alone a much wider area of the grid. I would certainly have said you couldn't do the whole grid with that rule of chess king's move separated digits like these two, or indeed these two, not summing to 5, 10 and 15 and not being the same digit. I'm absolutely fascinated. I fear one may have to go quite deep into holistic thought about how it can work to solve the puzzle, but I'm going to have a go now anyway. Let's get cracking. Right, the magic square starts with a 5 in the middle. I forgot to do this the last time we had a magic square. And the 5 in the middle comes because that central cell must join with 4 other pairs to form groups of the same number. That number must be 15, by the way, because we know that every box in a Sudoku adds to 45. You know the secret. And therefore every row in this magic square adds to 15. And every 3-cell diagonal does as well. So they all add to 15. The only number that combine with 4 sets to do that is 5. Now, we also know that the digits this side of the 5 are the odd digits. And we know that because 1 and 9 cannot go in the corners where they would be part of 3 sets of digits adding up to 15, and they can't do that. So they have to go in these cells, and you can also work out that to make a run of 15 in any 3-cell group, you're going to need either 1 odd digit or 3 odd digits, and therefore this must be the group of odds. And now we can use the thermo. That can't be 9. It also can't be 7, because that would be a 9 and this would be impossible. So that's 1 or 3. This is now not 1. Opposite the 1 or 3 to make the sum of 15, we have 7 or 9. This, I think, can be 3, so I'm just going to be a little circumspect there and rule 9 out of that cell only. I'm not sure if I can do more. Let me think about... We've got this rule. Actually, the rule barely matters in the magic square, does it? How are you going to get to 15 or 10? Well, oh no, I'm being daft. No, I'm not being daft. It's actually quite interesting. You couldn't have a pair adding to 5, 10 or 15. In a magic square. That's really interesting. But it couldn't be done. So where I said, I don't think you can have... I was surprised you could have a 3x3 box that obeys the rule. Every single magic square obeys this rule. There will be no repeat digits, obviously. And the reason I know that there are no pairs that add to 5 touching each other is because they would be either diagonal, in which case they're the same parity and they can't add to 5, or 15, let's park that. But if they were next to each other, the other digit in the row would have to be a 10. That's impossible to make the sum of 15. So they couldn't be next to each other adding to 5 or diagonally touching. They obviously can't touch with the 5. Nothing can touch with the 5 to make 5, 10 or 15, because you can't have another 5. So we're only talking about touches within this perimeter. Now, why can't you have 3 and 7 in those cells? Because 3 will be opposite 7, and the same for 1 and 9. So you can never make the 10 sum or any odd sum using diagonal touches. And within the rows and columns, which add to 15, if you had something that summed to 5, the other digit would be 10. If you had something that summed to 10, the other digit would be 5, but that's there. And if you had something that summed to 15, you'd have broken the total already. That's just fascinating. I mean, I don't even care if I can't solve the puzzle. That's a really interesting thing. Every magic square obeys this slightly bizarre rule about king's move digits not repeating and not summing to 5, 10 and 15. Well, we've learned something. Now, how do we make any other progress in the puzzle? I mean, I could fill in 2, 4, 6, 8 in these cells, and I could know that this cell is not 2, so the one opposite is not 8. That's from the thermo. Now, if this went 1, 3, 4, the only way this could be a 4, you'd need an 8 here to make the 15 sum, then a 6 here. I think that's fine. That works perfectly well. That's disappointing. Okay, I can say this can't be an 8 because that would go with this to make 15 or 17 already and break the row. So that's not an 8. Oh, this could never have been a 9, but now it can't be a 7 because it has to be less than this. So this is a 3. We're in business. That's a 7. That's a 1 on the thermo. That's a 9. Now this can't be a 6, or we're already up to 15, so that is a 4, so no wonder it worked as a possibility. Now I'm just adding to 15 in every row. And there we go, the magic square is done. Which is a relief, because I just didn't see how else we were going to start exiting the central box to get going in this puzzle. Now, I don't think the purple lines are that helpful. They sum to 10. We're going to need to get information first before we can do that. Okay, what can we do? These cells all touch the no. Let's start here. These cells all touch the 3, but they mustn't sum to 5. They couldn't sum to 15 any pair, but they mustn't sum to 5 or 10. So these ones don't contain 2 or 7 or 3, because that would disobey the King's move touchy rule, and Mr. King is saying don't do that. So these digits don't contain 2, 3 or 7. This one, therefore, is 4, 5 or 9, and this one is 1, 5, 6 or 8. This one I barely want to pencil mark it. Oh no, hang on, it can't touch 8 or 4 either. It can't be 2, 3 or 7. It can't be 8, 5 or 4. I do want to pencil mark it. It's 1, 6 or 9. Now, where does that leave us? Literally nowhere. I'm going to do the same for these rows, just in case it does anything. These digits can't be 9. They can't be 6 or 1, which would form 15 or 10 sums with that digit. They can't be 9, 6 or 1. So this one is 2, 5 or 7. This is 3, 4, 5 or 8. I might be missing something I could eliminate. Yes, I am there. I'll come back to that in a second. Maybe I've missed stuff here as well. Okay, here we're not allowed to be 1, 5, 9, 4 or 2. And it's 6 was ruled out. So 3, 7 or 8. Right. That 2 would be touching 3s in either of those positions, making a 5 pair. So there is much more elimination. That 8 would be touching a 2. That 8 would be touching a 2. So this is 7. Ah. It just is spotting these eliminations. There are so many things to eliminate. Now, I bet I've missed stuff here then. So 6 touching 4 is not possible. 8 touching 2 or 7. 4 touching 1 is not possible. So that's a 9. And that now can't be 9. And now I've got a similar pattern of definite in the middle and possibilities on the flanks, which feels realistic. Okay, let's do it for this group. They all touch 7, so they can't be 8 or 3 or 7. So 3, 8, 7 are ruled out. That is 1, 5 or 6. This one sees all of those and 8 and 9 actually now. So that's 1 or 4. I can see which one it is. But I'm trying to keep in my head which digits I'd eliminated here, and I've forgotten. 3, 8 or 7. 1, 6. So I'm going to write 2, 4, 5 or 9. But I'm coming back here because that can't be a 4 touching a 6. So that is a 1. And look at this interesting pattern of all the odds. I bet you that's going to be a 3. But we'll find out in due course. This can't be a 9 touching a 1 now. Of course, 5 is always a possibility in these things, because 5 is never ruled out by these rules. 5 can never sit. Oh, well, I suppose 5, 5 actually across that kind of gap could happen. So, okay, I was getting a little too generic in my claims. Anyway, here we're saying we can't touch a 1, so we can't be 4 or 9 or 1. So I'm going to write 3, 5, 8 there. 4, 9, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 here. This also sees 8, 6, 5 and 7. So 2 or 3, but 8 mustn't touch 2. So we do find a 3 there. That's not a 3. 2 possibilities looks right. The possibility I eliminate here is a 7 touching an 8. And there we are. We've got 2 very similar looking candidates in each of these cells. It's worth noting that 5 can never appear on these purple lines either, because it would have to be in both ends for them to add to 10. It's sort of interesting. I certainly haven't demonstrated that one of these is a 5 and one of these is a 5, even though I expect it. Because of what I've just noticed about 5 and 5 can't touch across the kind of corner of this fort, as I see this central cage, I do know that if 5 did appear in all of these places, it would be in kind of rotationally symmetric places at 90-degree turns, either in that group of cells or in that group of cells. And I mean, that's not really a very clever observation, or perhaps even very interesting. But nonetheless, it is true. Okay, all of these digits are even because they're all seeing 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 in their row or column. There's one digit that this can't be, but I don't know what it is. If that's a 6, this can't be 4. If that's a 2, this can't be 8. That could be a 6 and 2, in which the case this couldn't be... Ah! Oh no, that's really, really, really pretty. That is why this can't be a 2 and 6. And therefore one of these must be 5. That's absolutely fascinating, Shady Moon. Is this deliberately what's going on? Or is this just a chance discovery that I happen to have made? It's really interesting. So I was imagining, well, I mean, I was just talking basically, but I was imagining that neither of these yellow squares contained a 5. Then they would both have even digits, 2 and 6. At that point, this cage, remember this caged cell, remember these are all in the cage, couldn't be 2 or 6 because it would be, it would be in the same box as another 2 or 6. But it also wouldn't be allowed to be 8 touching the 2 or 4 touching the 6. And that rules out all even digits if that was a 2-6 pair. So that is not a 2-6 pair, that has a 5. And I wonder if we can do the same here. If these didn't have a 5, they'd be 6 and 8. This wouldn't be allowed to be 2 or 4 or 6 or 8. Yes, it's exactly the same thing. One of those is a 5. Here we would have 4 and 8. They're from different 10 pairs, so it's exactly the same deal. This couldn't be 4 or 8, or 6 touching a 4, or 2 touching an 8. So again, one of those is a 5, and I bet it's the same here. 2 and 4 would leave this unfillable, with either 2, 4, or 6 touching 4, or 2 touching 8. So there, in each of these yellow pairs, there is a 5, and like I said a moment ago, because 5s can't touch across the box borders, they will have to be in one rotational set or the other. This is very interesting. Okay, I'm going to use... I don't know, I was going to use colours for the 2, 8 and the 4, 6 sets that add up to 10, but I mean, to be fair, I could easily be missing something much more simple that allows progress. Well, either by Fistomer-Fell ring theory or just by knowing that each of the 5 groups has a 5 within it, we can rule out 5 out of all of these cells. We can also rule it out of the cells with purple lines on. So the 5s in the corner boxes have to be confined to these groups of cells. I don't know, it doesn't feel very interesting. 5 is a very easy digit to put in the fortress, in the spellbinding, well, sorry, in the cage. So I wonder if those two will end up being 5s. But that's just idle speculation. I'm not solving at the moment. Now, most of these are odd. There are 2 evens there, and one of these is even. So here we've got 1 even and 3 odds, but we're not in the cage now. So in a way, who cares? It's going to be very hard to limit anything once you get outside the cage. I mean, I've been assuming throughout that most of the work in this puzzle has to be done in the cage. Okay, what about these corner digits? This one can't be 8 by the rule, or 2, because that would touch the 8, or 7. I keep forgetting how extensive this rule is. So this digit can't be 2, 7, or 8. It also can't be 3 or 9, and it can't be 5, because there's definitely a 5 in one of those. So this is 1, 4, or 6. If I could falsify it being 1, then it would be an interesting even digit. Oh no, this is it. Oh, it cannot be. I can't falsify it being 1 because it is 1. This is brilliant, by the way. I'm going to tell you why this can't be 4 or 6 now, in case you can't see it for yourself. You may have seen this before I did. But the point is that one of these is not a 5. They can't both be 5s, because that would break the rule with a 10 sum touching. So one of them is even, and is either, knowledge bomb, 4 or 6. If it's a 4, that can't be 4 or 6, because it would either repeat the 4 or add up to 10. If that's a 6, this can't be 4 or 6, because it will either repeat the 6 or add up to 10. So 4 and 6 are impossible there, and that digit is a 1. And I bet we're able to fill in these other corners too now, on the same principle. Yeah, down here, this one sees 4, so it can't be 1 or 6. It also can't be 9 or 7 or 5. So we're left with 2, 3, 8. Yes, exactly as I thought. It can't be 2 or 8 for exactly the same reason. Here you would form either a 2-8 pair or a 5-5 pair. That's brilliant. Isn't that brilliant? I honestly pray that other people are finding this the same way through this puzzle and thus enjoying it as I am. Okay, this one cannot touch a 2, so it can't be 3 or 8. It also can't be 1, 7 or 5 or 2. So it is 4, 6 or 9, and surprise, surprise, 4 and 6 are ruled out by the same combination of circumstances. So that's a 9. Up here, we can't be 1, 3, 9 or 6 by normal king's move. Then we're not allowed to be 4 by 10 touch thing. So I'm down to 2, 5, 7 or 8. 5 is ruled out, as always. So 2, 7 or 8, and again it can't be 2 or 8 because it would cause something. Right, that's on a purple line, we get a 3 there. This is on a purple line, we get a 7 here. Now, these two can't be odd. They can't be 1, 9 because of that 1 in the box, and... oh, I might be wrong actually. I thought they couldn't be 3. No, they can't be 3, 7 because that digit sees both 3 and 7. I'm right. So these are even, adding up to 10. I bet the same's true here. This one can't be 3 or 7 or 1 or 9. Yeah, so these are even. 2, 4, 6, 8. The puzzle does look very rotationally symmetrical, and I do wonder how I'm ever going to disambiguate these pairs, but I'm sure that'll come now. So, by Sudoku, there's a 7 in one of those positions. There's a 3. Ah, the 3 in this column is placed down at the bottom. Oh, I was going to get all... oh no, it's a disaster in my head because I thought I couldn't put 3 in those places. I can't put 3 there by Sudoku, but I am allowed to put 3 here because this touch is outside the magic fortress, so it's not a problem. So 7 in this column is the opposite, the symmetrical rotation of spotting 3 in this column. And oh no, this row, yeah, I bet there's something in this row. Maybe I just do the Sudoku ramifications of that 7 first. Yes, I get a 7 there. We got that 3. There's a 3 in one of these cells. 7, 7, 7 in one of these. We're doing well on 7s, but they're not finished. I haven't really used these. There's a few cells inside the fortress that I haven't used in terms of their diagonal touches. I expect they're coming in a moment. Now, these rows 3 and 7, is there some digit that is placed? I don't think there is. No, it was these corners that we found on the purple lines that got placed in the columns. So I don't think that happens in the rows in the same way. These two are even. because 5 is used there and the other odd digits are used up in the column. I expect these two are even, yep, for exactly the same reason. Now I've got 3 evens in this row. It's not quite enough. So let's think about another cell. Right, yeah, here we go again. Oh, is it very similar? Yes, it is very similar. Either that's an 8 or this is a 2. Now, do they have an effect on this cell? Yes. If that's an 8, this can't be an 8. That's not so interesting. If that's an 8, this can't be a 2 because of the touch making 10. But if that's not an 8, that's a 2, and this still can't be 2. Now, I thought I was going to rule 8 out of this cell, but I don't think that has failed, actually. If that was 5 and that was 2, okay, that's surprised me a bit. I bet I can get 1 digit out of this cell because this can never be 8, because either that's an 8 or that's a 2. That's it. Is there not a bit more to it than that? Maybe not. Those two, no, they're not in the cage. Is this definitely even? No, it could be a 1 as far as I can see. And this could be a 9, and I bet they are going to be that. Is there some way I can rule out an even digit? That would be a bit extreme. I'm beginning to think I should have done some colouring of 2s and 8s versus 4s and 6s, but yeah, okay, let's get rid of the yellow. Let's try this, because I haven't really got anything else going on at the moment. Okay, these, wow, they include something from the 8-2 pair. Let's use that blue. So one of those is from the 8-2 pair. One of these is from the 4-6 pair. We'll call that orange. I don't know, it doesn't look very helpful now I've done that. I want to say this can't be orange, but that's... Okay, there is some digit that I can eliminate here. If that was a 6, this wouldn't be allowed to be 6 or 4. And alternatively, that's a 4. So this can never be 4. This can never be 6 on the line. Now again here, which digit can I eliminate from here? It's 4. No, it's 6. If that's a 4, this can't be 4 or 6. But if that's not a 4, that's 6. So 6 is eliminated from here. Now, can I actually eliminate 6 from here? That would be interesting. Yes, I can. It's more complicated, I think, because you have to go around this whole diamond. So it's a 3-step process. But if that was 6, this would become 5. That would become 4, but that breaks here, because if that was 6, this would become 4. So this can't be from the 6-4 pair. And now both of these are from what I'm calling the blue set. And I don't know if my colouring is going to be at all necessary, but I'm sure I can eliminate 4 from here in exactly the same way. That would be 5. Both of those would be 6. Yes. So these are from the blue pair again. Oh, I thought they were going to be from the other pair. Now, what does that mean? Because one of these is blue and is the last blue digit either in that row or that column. Or one other way to look at it is that is either that's an 8 or that's a 2. If that's an 8, that's a 2. If that's a 2, this is an 8 and that's a 2. Now, do these apply whichever way round it goes? I don't know, and I don't think I know how to know. Let's just work it out. If that's a 2, this is 2, this is not 2, this is the 5, so that becomes the 8, and then that becomes the 2. And if this is, yeah, so that would be the 2 in all circumstances. No, if that was a 2, that would be a 2. If this was an 8, oh, then that would be the 2. I was hoping this would work round to exactly the same digit always appearing there, and it absolutely didn't. Okay, here's another thought that I haven't had before. None of these cells can be 2 or 8 because they're all touching that. Oh, no, 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 that doesn't apply because we're outside the cage for most of them, from all of it. Ah, it doesn't apply. If that's blue, these are both orange. What does that mean, guys? I don't know. Okay, what about this? It can't be 2 or 8 or 1 or 7. It also can't be 9 because it is on a diagonal within the cage with that, and it can't be 4 for the same reason because it would add up to 5, 9 would add up to 10. So it can't be 1, 2, 8, 7, 4, 9. It also sees that 3. 1, 2, 8, 4, 9, 7, 3. This is 5 or 6. Now, can I rule out 6? No. What about here? I mean, I must be able to do the same sort of thing. This can't be 2, 8, 9 or 3 in the box and it sees 7. So we're down to 1, 4, 5, 6. It can't be 1 touching that 9 or 6. So that is 4 or 5. And I have a feeling I should be able to rule out 4 somehow. I don't think it's obvious how to do that. I mean, it may be possible, but it's certainly not obvious. Something may well be obvious at the moment, but I also think this puzzle might have still a hidden surprise up its sleeve. Ah, come on, think about it. If that's a 2, now I'm wondering if I can get pressure on this cell to stop it being a 2 at least. If that's a 2, that's 5 and that's 8. So if that's a 2, that's 8. And then this sees both 2 and 8. Alternatively, if this is an 8, that's 2, that's 5, that's 8. And then this sees 2 and 8 again. Did I get that the right way around? Maybe not. Oh, no, I did. Well, it's simpler than I was thinking. If that's 2, that's 8, that's 2. No, 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 we don't know that. Okay, let's go through it again. I'm sorry, I'm just confusing myself. If that's a 2, let's start with that. If that's a 2, that's 5, that's 8, that's 2, that's 8. Actually, I don't need to do that to see that if this is a 2, that's not a 2. If this is a 2, yeah, it's nonsense. If that's a 2, that's 5, that's 8, that's 2, and this can't be 2. So this is never a 2. And I suspect this is never an 8. If that's an 8, it's obviously not an 8. If that's a 2, that's 5, that's 8. This can't be 8. Okay, so that's from 4, 6, and that is. And they are the orange flavour of even digit. Now, does that stop this being a 4 somehow? I wonder if it does. If that's a 4, this is 6. Doesn't really do anything. It makes that blue, which is quite interesting. I think, let's look at this remaining empty cell. This cannot be orange now, because it would form a 10 pair. That's quite interesting. So it's not 4 or 6. It obviously sees 3, 5, 7, and 9. So it is 1, 2, or 8. And either I can rule out 2 and 8, or I can rule out 1. I bet I can rule out 2 and 8. So why? If that was blue, I don't know. Either that's 2 or that's 8. This can never be 2, because if that's 2, it's in the same row as a 2, and if that's not 2, that's 8, and this pair forms a pair. So, can it be 8 here? No, it can't. That would make that 5 and that 2. You'd have 2 blues there, and that couldn't exist. So that is a 1. Okay, and I must be able to do the same here. This can't be 1, 3, 5, or 7, and it can't be orange, 4 or 6. So 2, 8, or 9, and I'm sure I can rule out 2 and 8 in the same sort of way. If it was 2, that would be 5, that would be 8, that would be 2. No good. If it was 8, that would be 5, that would be 2, that would form a 10. No good. So it's 9. And now I've kind of extended my powers into all the corners of this fortress. And they haven't done a lot. Right, one of these is a 9 by Sudoku, so it's a 3-9 pair. I cannot rule out a king's touch because we're going outside the fortress. 7 in this box is now in one of those 2 cells, and therefore not here, and is here in the corner. That's an unexpected find. Right, let's do the same over here. This is a 1-7 pair. Oh, we know the order. Oh, I know the order of this 3-9 as well. Right, thank you, 9. Okay, 1 and 7 must sit there. That's all the 7s in the grid, if I put this one in. That's getting interesting. This is going to be even, this digit, but it's not 6 or 8. This could actually be the last step, but I must be able to tell what this is, not being a 5 somehow. It's going to have to be a 3. Yes, there's a 3 right there. And then that's a 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spot. Light proving its position. Right, now that was just a precursor to looking at this 2 or 4. Which is blue or orange? I don't know. Should I know what this is? Where's the 2 in this row? It's in one of those 2 cells, so these can't have a 2 in. Also, I want to say if one of those is a 2, that can't be 8, but that doesn't work. Now there's an X-wing on 2s. That's going to use up the 2s in columns 7 and 8. 2 in box 3 is going to have to be in that column, and that's not a 2. Neither of those are a 2, so one of these is a 2. Oh, and in this row, 8 is in one of those cells, so these don't have 8. There's a lot of symmetry to take into account here. One of these is a 2. Now, if that was an 8, that would put 2 here. Then, because that was an 8, this would be 2. So we'd end up with 2s in these positions. 8, 5, that would become a 2. We've obviously got a 2 there. I don't know. I don't feel like this is necessarily going to break, so let's forget that. This is even, and it's not 2 or 4. I know it's even because I've used up 7, 3, 9, 1, and there's a 5 in one of those. So this is 6 or 8. Do they get a colour? Not automatically, no. If that's an 8, this is the 2 to go with it. If it's a 5, that's a 4. Then this can't be 4 or 6. And has to be 2. So 8 and 2 are always diagonally opposed here. If that's an 8, how did it work? I don't know. I thought I'd seen that now. Maybe I've lost my mind again. If that's an 8, this isn't allowed to be 2. Oh no. So if that's an 8, that's a 2. Ah, is yellow always going to be a 2? If that's an 8, that's not allowed to be 2 by the rule. So 2 goes there. If that's a 5, that's a 4. And then this isn't allowed to be 4 or 6. No, then this must be 2. Ah, but if that's a 5, and that's a 4, and this is 2, this is where 8 goes. Then you've got 2 and 8 there, looking at that, which does not work. So I've finally disambiguated the 5s. I've just got to go through that again in my head, because I'm just not confident. If this was an 8, that's not allowed to be 2. That's not the point. The point is, if this was a 5, that would be 4. The 8 in this row would be here. And because that was a 4, this would have to be a 2. It wouldn't be allowed to be 4 or 6. And you'd have 8, 2 there, breaking that. So this isn't a 5. This is an 8. There we go. This is 6. Let's do as much as we can by Sudoku now, because my head is getting fried. 5 there, 2 there. Okay, now the 5s mustn't touch within the magic area, so we know where they all go. And indeed, let's uncolour their cells, because they don't deserve colour anymore. Put a 5 in there. Now, these are clearly, therefore, of their colour. That's a 6. Those 2 can be fully blue. I mean, maybe that won't matter anymore. 8 can't sit next to 2 there. 4 there. 2 there. Doesn't need a colour. Well, it could have a colour. It just doesn't matter anymore, I don't think. I think we have disambiguated the puzzle, so let's see if that's right. 2 and 8 there. That's a 4. Now, 2 is not allowed to touch 8 there. So rows 4, 5, 6 are thoroughly complete. That's an 8. That's a 2. This is a 4, 6 pair down here. 7, 1, 3. That must be 2 by Sudoku. That's a naked 8, and this is a 5, 9 pair beneath it. That's a 4, 6 pair. This is brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant. We did get a 5 there, and I know we're going to get one there now. By symmetry. By symmetry and the powers of beauty in Sudoku, which are a force that is very strong, I believe. Now, those can't be 6. This can't be 2 in its row, and it can't be 4 because of the rule. So that's an 8. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all colour now, because I'm pretty sure that we don't need it anymore. That is a 4. That's a 6 to complete the column. That's now 8. That's 5. That's 1. This is 9. This has become a 5 as predicted. That's a 1. I can do 6 and 4. That box is finished. 6 and 4 there. All the corner boxes are finished. 1, 2, 4 up here goes 1, 4, 2. This row needs a 2 and a 1. This row needs 6, 8, 9. So 8, 6, 9. And there we go. The spellbinding square is complete. That is a lovely puzzle. I only had half a solve each day for the month it's been available. That's a shame. That's really clever. Very interesting. so symmetrical, apart from, I suppose, the thermo? I don't know. You can tell me if the symmetry does a bit more, gets broken by more than the thermo, but I think it is the thermo that breaks the symmetry of the whole puzzle. But it's really good. That's lovely, Shady Moon. Thank you for watching us on the channel as always. A pleasure to be with you, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.